Give me Shalom. Okay, y'all. We're live on YouTube and Facebook today. Hopefully we have no problems at all. So we don't have any problems today. Okay. Well, happy Monday, y'all. It is May the 31st, last day of the month, May the 31st, 2021, day 168 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, also known as the Old Testament. And it is, of the 3-year consecutive day count, it is day 837. That is without the Sabbath days or the feast days, Sabbath days added into the count, because we rest on those days. Today we are reading the last 3 chapters of Nehemiah, Nehemiah 11, 12, and 13. Then we're going to hop back over to Fossilized Customs and pick up where we left off at yesterday on page 117. Uncle Joe B. Christy, hey girl, hey. Alright, y'all, so let's do the Shema. Everybody know where that is found by now. Deuteronomy chapter 6. We'll start at verse 3. Remember, read the whole chapter for full context. I just pulled the meat of it out of it in order to do this. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as YAHUAH, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, YAHUAH, our God, He is one God. And you shall love YAHUAH, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And YAHUAH commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear YAHUAH our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before YAHUAH our God, as He has commanded us. Over here. Okay. Kenneth, Shalom. All right, y'all. Nehemiah chapter 11. The people occupied Jerusalem. The leaders of the people were living in Jerusalem, the holy city. A tenth of the people from the other towns of Judah and Benjamin were chosen by sacred lots to live there too, while the rest stayed where they were. And the people commanded everyone who volunteered to resettle in Jerusalem. I'm sorry, not commanded. And the people commended everyone who volunteered to resettle in Jerusalem. Here is a list of the names of the provincial officials who came to live in Jerusalem. Most of the people, priests, Levites, temple servants, and descendants of Solomon's servants, continued to live in their own homes in the various towns of Judah. But some of the people from Judah and Benjamin resettled in Jerusalem. From the tribe of Judah, Athaiah, son of Uzziah, son of Zechariah, son of Amariah, son of Shephatiah, son of Mahalalel of the family of Perez. Also Messiah, son of Baruch, son of Hoseh, son of Haziah, son of Adiah, son of Joarib, son of Zechariah of the family of Shelah. There were 468 descendants of Perez who lived in Jerusalem, all outstanding men. From the tribe of Benjamin, Salu, son of Meshullam, son of Joed, son of Padiah, son of Koliah, son of Messiah, son of Ithiel, son of Jeshiah. After him were Gabai and Salai, a total of 928 relatives. Their chief officer was Joel, son of Zichri, who was assisted by Judah, son of Hassanu, second in command over the city. From the priests, Jediah, son of Joarib, Jachin, and Sariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Meshullam, son of Zadok, son of Merioth, son of Ahitub, the supervisor of the temple of Yahuwah. Also 822 of their associates who worked at the temple. Also Adiah, son of Joram, son of Peliah, son of Amzi, son of Zechariah, son of Pashur, son of Malchijah, along with 242 of his associates who were heads of their families. Also Amasai, son of Azarel, son of Azai, son of Meshillemoth, son of Immer, and 128 of his outstanding associates. Their chief officer was Zabdiel, son of Hagadiolim. Alright, just in case I screw up more of these names, y'all, I'm sorry in advance. From the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashub, son of Azrikam, son of Hashabiah, son of Buni. Also Shabbathai and Josabad, who were in charge of the work outside the temple of Yahuwah. Also Mattaniah, son of Micah, son of Zabdi, a descendant of Asaph, who led in thanksgiving and prayer. Also Bakbukiah, who was Mattaniah's assistant, and Abda, son of Shemua, son of Galal, son of Jeduthun. In all, there were 284 Levites in the holy city. From the gatekeepers, Akhub, Talman, and 172 of their associates who guarded the gates. The other priests, Levites, and the rest of the Israelites lived wherever their family inheritance was located in any of the towns of Judah. The temple servants, however, whose leaders were Zilhah and Gishpah, all lived on the hill of Ophel. The chief officer of the Levites in Jerusalem was Uzzi, son of Bani, son of Hashabiah, son of Mattaniah, son of Micah, a descendant of Asaph, whose family served as singers at Yahuwah's temple. Their daily responsibilities were carried out along to the terms of a royal command. Pethahiah, son of Mehishabel, a descendant of Zerah, son of Judah, was the royal advisor in all matters of public administration. As for the surrounding villages with their open fields, some of the people of Judah lived in Kiriath Arba with its settlements, Dibon with its settlements, and Jacobezel with its villages. They also lived in Jeshua, Molada, Beth Pelet, Harzar Shual, Beersheba with its settlements, Ziklag, and Mechanah with its settlements. They also lived in En-Rimmon, Zorah, Jarmuth, Zanoah, and Adullam with their surrounding villages. They also lived in Lachish with its nearby fields, and Azekah with its surrounding villages. So the people of Judah were living all the way from Beersheba in the south to the valley of Hinnom. Some of the people of Benjamin lived at Geba, Michmash, Asia, and Bethel with its settlements. They also lived in Anathoth, Nob, Aniah, Hazor, Ramah, Gittam, Hadid, Zeboam, Nebalat, Lod, Ono, and the valley of craftsmen. Some of the Levites who lived in Judah were sent to live with the tribe of Benjamin. All right, so as they returned home, they were spread out everywhere around Jerusalem. Nehemiah chapter 12. Here is the list of the priests and Levites who returned with Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua the high priest. Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Meluk, Hattush, Shechaniah, Haram, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnethon, Abijah, Miniamim, Modiah, Biglah, Shemaiah, Jeriob, Jediah, Salu, Amok, Hilkiah, and Jediah. These were the leaders of the priests and their associates in the days of Jeshua. The Levites who returned with them were Jeshua, Benu, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, who with his associates was in charge of the songs of thanksgiving. Their associates, Bakbukiah and Uni, stood opposite them during the service. Jeshua the high priest was the father of Joachim. Joachim was the father of Eliashib. Eliashib was the father of Joiada. Joiada was the father of Johanan. Johanan was the father of Jaddua. Now when Joachim was high priest, the family leaders of the priests were as follows. Moriah was the leader of the family of Sariah. Hananiah was the leader of the family of Jeremiah. Meshullam was the leader of the family of Ezra. Jehohanan was the leader of the family of Amariah. Jonathan was the leader of the family of Maluk. Joseph was the leader of the family of Shechaniah. Adnah was the leader of the family of Haram. Helkai was the leader of the family of Merimah. Zechariah was leader of the family of Iddo. Meshullam was the leader of the family of Ginnathan. Zikri was the leader of the family of Abijah. There was also a leader of the family of Miniamin. Palti was the leader of the family of Modiah. Shammua was the leader of the family of Bigla. Jehonathan was the leader of the family of Shemaiah. Mattanai was the leader of the family of Jeorib. Uzi was the leader of the family of Jediah. Kelai was the leader of the family of Salu. Eber was the leader of the family of Amok. Hashabiah was the leader of the family of Hilkiah. Nathaniel was the leader of the family of Jediah. A record of the Levite families was kept during the years when Eliashib, Jehoiada, Johanan, and Jaddua served as high priests. Another record of the priests was kept during the reign of Darius the Persian. A record of the heads of the Levite families was kept in the book of history down to the days of Jehohanan, the grandson of Eliashib. These were the family leaders of the Levites: Hashabiah, Sherebiah, Jeshua, Benu, Kadmiel, and other associates who stood opposite them during the ceremonies of praise and thanksgiving. One section responded to the other as commanded by David, the man of Yah. This included Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, and Obadiah. Meshullam, Talmon, and Akub were the gatekeepers in charge of the storerooms at the gates. These all served in the days of Jehoiakim, son of Jeshua, son of Jehozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah the governor, and of Ezra the priest and scribe. Dedication of Jerusalem's wall. Shalom. For the dedication of the new wall of Jerusalem, the Levites throughout the land were asked to come to Jerusalem to assist in the ceremonies. They were to take part in the joyous occasion with their songs of thanksgiving and with the music of cymbals, harps, and lyres. The singers were brought together from the region around Jerusalem and from the villages of the Netophathites. They also came from Beth Gilgal and the rural areas near Geba and Asmaveth, for the singers had built their own settlements around Jerusalem. The priests and Levites first purified themselves, then they purified the people, the gates, and the wall. I led the leaders of Judah to the top of the wall and organized 2 large choirs to give thanks. One of the choirs proceeded southward along the top of the wall to the dung gate. Hoshea and half of the leaders of Judah followed them, along with Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah. Then came some priests who played trumpets, including Zechariah, son of Jonathan, son of Shemaiah, son of Mattaniah, son of Micaiah, son of Zakur, a descendant of Asaph. And Zechariah's colleagues were Shemaiah, Azarel, Melali, Gelai, Mai, Nathaniel, Judah, and Hanani. They used the musical instruments prescribed by David, the man of Yahuwah. Ezra, the scribe, led this procession. At the fountain gate, they went straight up the steps on the ascent of the city wall toward the city of David. They passed the house of David and then proceeded to the water gate on the east. The second choir, giving thanks, went northward around the other way to meet them. I followed them, together with the other half of the people, along the top of the wall, past the tower of the ovens to the broad wall, then past the Ephraim gate to the old city gate, past the fish gate and the tower of Hananel, and on to the tower of the 100. Then we continued on to the sheep gate and stopped at the guard gate. The 2 choirs that were giving thanks then proceeded to the temple of Yahuwah, where they took their places. So did I, together with a group of leaders who were with me. We went together with the trumpet-playing priests, Eliakim, Messiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, and Hananiah, and the singers, Messiah, Shemaiah, Eleazar, Uzi, Jehonahan, Melchijah, Elam, and Ezer. They played and sang loudly under the direction of Jereziah, the choir director. Many sacrifices were offered on that joyous day, for Yahuwah had given the people cause for great joy. The women and children also participated in the celebration, and the joy of the people of Jerusalem could be heard far away. On that day, men were appointed to be in charge of the storerooms for the offerings, the first part of the harvest, and the tithes. They were also responsible to collect from the fields outside the towns the portions required by the law for the priests and Levites. For all the people of Judah took joy in the priests and Levites and in their work. Notice, I want to bring something out. This was a couple sentences up, but notice how when they go up for a lot of these meetings and things that they were doing, notice when it says that it's required of the men, it always say down the list later that women and children were also present, right? So, but I said it because I noticed some groups of our people who are waking up where they're kind of, and I don't know, maybe it's just the videos that they show, and it could just be men meeting, but remember, the women and children are also a part of the congregation as well, right? And Yahuwah has them all together, okay? Because I know how sometimes it's taught, and not just in church. Church, I will say church is not as bad with it, but those who are coming out of the church just trying to find their way back to doing what's right, a lot of time they kind of swing all the way to the other side of the pendulum, and they get off kilter, and it's like all just the men. You know, I'm not talking about specifically meetings just for men, because you have those and there's no problem with that, but when they're always together with the word and teaching, and it's just them, and they leave their women and children at home, it kind of gets off balance. And then you see them doing things like, it's a bunch of foolery. Like this recent Passover, it's one particular group that held their Passover meal at a strip club. I mean, there were no women present. Their wives and their children. Granted, the club, they ain't had a strippers there until later. They rented out the venue to have their Passover service, but it was just the men there. But apparently, I'm not going to say they did, I'm not going to say they didn't, but the time kind of overlaps when the club began to open, and some of the strippers began to show up. I'm like, y'all knew that ahead of time. Y'all knew that was going to run into that, and a lot of them stayed around. It was just a bunch of foolery. That's enough of that. Some of y'all probably know what that is, but I'm just like, yeah, when you get like off kilter with the scriptures, and things get all off balance, and you can see by looking at the overall thing, right? So just be mindful of those things, y'all. Okay, I just wanted to say that. I know there was a few scriptures up. Hold on, let me just go back. Hold on. Yeah, that was all the way back up here. I ain't gonna go all the way back up, but I just wanted to bring that out, because down in 43, I'll just go to 43 where it says, hi Auntie Kimberly, hey girl, hey. I just go back to 43. So just realize when the men were present, it called out the men, like the men are required, but that's not excluding the women and children, right? So, but because sometimes the women and the children can't make it, maybe the woman is pregnant or the children are too small or what have you, but it was always required of the men, but that did not exclude the women and children. But they were required to be there, and the women and children could come as well if they were able to get there. Everybody was healthy. The woman wasn't about to give birth at any time, but that's what you have to realize, because it always say that women and children were present, but it's required that the men absolutely be there, right? Okay. Just make sure y'all keeping it all in context, right? Okay. Verse 43, I'll go back up. Many sacrifices were offered on that joyous day, for Yahuwah had given the people cause for great joy. The women and children also participated in the celebration, and the joy of the people of Jerusalem could be heard far away. On that day, men were appointed to be in charge of the storerooms for the offerings, the first part of the harvest, and the tithes. They were responsible to collect from the field outside the towns the portions required by the law for the priests and the Levites. For all the people of Judah took joy in the priests and the Levites and their work. They performed the service of their God and the service of purification as commanded by David and his son Solomon, and so did the singers and the gatekeepers. The custom of having choir directors to lead the choirs and hymns of praise and thanksgiving to Yahuwah began long ago in the days of David and Asaph. So now, in the days of Zerubbabel and Nehemiah, all Israel bought a daily supply of food for the singers, the gatekeepers, and the Levites. The Levites, in turn, gave a portion of what they received to the priests, the descendants of Aaron. Do me a favor, go close that door all the way. Thank you. All right, y'all, last chapter for today, Nehemiah chapter 13. On that same day, as the book of Moses was being read to the people, the passage was found that said, "No Ammonite or Moabite should ever be permitted to enter the assembly of YAHUAH, for they had not provided the Israelites with food and water in the wilderness. Instead, they hired Balaam to curse them, though our God turned the curse into a blessing." When this passage of the law was read, all those of foreign descent were immediately excluded from the assembly. Before this had happened, Eliashib the priest, who had been appointed as a supervisor of the storerooms of the temple of our God, and who was also a relative of Tobiah, had converted a large storeroom and placed it at Tobiah's disposal. The room had previously been used for storing the grain offerings, the frankincense, the various articles for the temple, and the tithes of grain, new wine, and olive oil, which were prescribed for the Levites, the singers, and the gatekeepers, as well as the offerings for the priests. I was not in Jerusalem at that time, for I had returned to King Artaxerxes of Babylon in the 32nd year of his reign, though I later asked his permission to return. When I arrived back in Jerusalem, I learned about Eliashib's evil deed in providing Tobiah with a room in the courtyards of the temple of YAHUAH. I became very upset and threw all of Tobiah's belongings out of the room. That's right, Tobiah should not have been there. He was one with the other guy keeping up a bunch of rigmarole when they were trying to rebuild a wall in Jerusalem. Yeah, no, he can't stay. I became very upset and threw all of Tobiah's belongings out of the room. Then I demanded that the rooms be purified, and I brought back the articles for YAHUAH's temple, the grain offerings, and the frankincense. I also discovered that the Levites had not been given their prescribed portions of food, so they and the singers who were to conduct the worship services had all returned to work in their fields. I immediately confronted the leaders and demanded, "Why has the temple of YAHUAH been neglected?" Then I called all the Levites back again and restored them to their proper duties. And once more, all the people of Judah began bringing in their tithes of grain, new wine, and olive oil to the temple of the storeroom. So this is repeated the second time about what tithes was: grain, new wine, and olive oil. I assigned supervisors for the storerooms: Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah, one of the Levites. And I appointed Hanan, son of Zakur, the grandson of Mattaniah, as their assistant. These men had an excellent reputation, and it was their job to make honest distributions to their fellow Levites. Remember this good deed, O my God, and do not forget all that I have faithfully done for the temple of my God and its services. In those days I saw men of Judah treading out their wine presses on the Sabbath. They were also bringing in grain, loading it on donkeys, and bringing their wine, grapes, figs, and all sorts of produce to Jerusalem to sell on the Sabbath. So I rebuked them for selling their produce on that day. Some men from Tyre who lived in Jerusalem were bringing in fish and all kinds of merchandise. They were selling it on the Sabbath to the people of Judah and in Jerusalem that day. So the story in the New Testament about JC going in, knocking over the table and kicking everybody out the temple, that's where that story, this right here in Nehemiah, is where that particular story is pulled from. Just in case you didn't know. Verse 17. So I confronted the nobles of Judah. Why are you profaning the Sabbath in this evil way, I asked. Wasn't it... Hold on. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I was at the right verse. So I confronted the nobles of Judah. Why are you profaning the Sabbath in this evil way, I asked. Wasn't it just for this sort of thing that your ancestors did that caused our God to bring all this trouble upon us and our city? Now you are bringing even more wrath upon Israel by permitting the Sabbath to be desecrated in this way. Then I commanded that the gates of Jerusalem should be shut as darkness fell every Friday evening, not to be opened until the Sabbath ended. I sent some of my own servants to guard the gates so that no merchandise could be bought in on the Sabbath day. And right here where it says, it should have just been every Sabbath, right? Every entering of the Sabbath, but they put Friday here, right? This is a newer translation, NLT, but it was the evening as Sabbath was coming in, right? Okay, so wasn't necessarily a Friday every time. Okay. I sent some of my own servants to guard the gates so that no merchandise could be bought in on the Sabbath day. The merchants and tradesmen with a variety of wares camped outside Jerusalem once or twice. But I spoke sharply to them and said, "What are you doing out here camping around the wall? If you do this again, I will arrest you." And that was the last time they came on the Sabbath. Then I commanded the Levites to purify themselves and to guard the gates in order to preserve the holiness of the Sabbath. Remember this good deed also, O my God. Have compassion on me according to your great and unfailing love. At the same time, I realized that some of the men of Judah had married women from Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Furthermore, half their children spoke the language of Ashdod or some other people and could not speak the language of Judah at all. So I confronted them and called down curses on them. I beat some of them and pulled out their hair. I made them swear in the name of Yahuwah that they would not let their children intermarry with the pagan people of the land. He had a bit of a anger problem, didn't he? Wasn't this it? But I can see why. It's like, we just got back here. Y'all doing this foolery again. We're about to be kicked out again. Wasn't this exactly what led King Solomon of Israel into sin? I demanded. There was no king from any nation who could compare to him, and Yahuwah loved him and made him king over all of Israel. But even he was led into sin by his foreign wives. How could you even think of committing this sinful deed and acting unfaithfully toward Yahuwah by marrying foreign women? One of the sons of Jehoiada, son of Eliashib, the high priest, had married a daughter of Sanballat the Horonite. That's what it was, Tobiah and Sanballat. Keeping up all that foolery. One of the sons of Jehoiada, son of Eliashib, the high priest, had married a daughter of Sanballat the Horonite. So I banished him from my presence. Remember them, O my God, for they have defiled the priesthood and the solemn vows of the priests and Levites. So I purged out everything foreign and assigned tasks to the priests and Levites, making certain that each knew his work. I also made sure that the supply of wood for the altar and the first portions of the harvest were bought at proper times. Remember this in my favor, oh my God. Okay, y'all, so that's where we're going to stop today. And let's go ahead and pick up over here where we left off on Fossilized Customs. Levon, hey. On page 117. Okay, I was just looking at this picture. Okay. So we ended yesterday by saying that we are the temple of Yahuwah and his spirit indwells us, right? Because it was going over the whole drink my blood and eat my flesh thing, right? Yahuwah said only my words should be inside of you. Okay, so if y'all were here yesterday, y'all remember that. Sorry for the technical difficulties for those that tried to get on yesterday on YouTube. Came on twice, a couple times, and then went back off. So I just decided not to mess with it. And after I got done with the live on Facebook, I uploaded it to YouTube yesterday. So for those who were looking for me yesterday, sorry, technical difficulties. I'm glad we ain't having no problems on either outlet today. Okay, so right here is a picture starting off in the middle, page 117. Transubstantiating lead into gold wasn't working, so they tried something else. So we're going to find out what that is right here. Okay, so you see the priest sitting there around the altar. Okay. And I think it's good a lot of times. Let me not say that. I don't know. Some people might take that the wrong way. But this goes back to having a balanced group of people and not just one. Like I said, if you're not just having a men's meeting or a women's meeting or something set aside for like your children, it should always be a even balance of men and women in the place where you're at, especially if there's teaching or something going on, because questions should be asked. And although everything needs to be kept in order and it shouldn't be all over the place where people hollering out and asking things out of turn, right? Because I think that's where the teaching comes in the New Testament, where you got Paul. Paul was visiting a group of people who had unruly wives, but a lot of people have taken it. He was trying to get the people to calm down. It's like, listen, okay, see, when we got a lot of questions here, men, listen, I'm gonna talk to y'all. Y'all address all your wives, right? But they've taken that and made that overall thing throughout everywhere, right? And sometimes, I guess sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's not. And it just depends on who is up, what they're talking about. Because having both parties, the opposite sex, it brings balance, right? And the women may have questions that the men may not ask, and the men may have questions or have some logical things that women may not think about. It's a perfect blend together, and it should bring balance and harmony so we can, come to an agreement about something and move slowly, right? Because men have gifts in certain places and strengths, and just like women do, but they all should be able to come together to make the thing work, right? Just like corporations and stuff. That's why a lot of people, although you may see men a lot of times out on the forefront, now you see more women coming. The men are allowing some of the women to come to the forefront because of the certain strengths that they have. Like even with our company, there was a certain company we couldn't get contracts from when my husband was just trying to, get them, because it was a company who was really, not saying that we're unbalanced, but it's a company that's really well balanced and they like diversity and stuff. And for years he was trying to get us in there. Like I was doing like the paperwork behind the scenes like normal, but he was always the face of it. And most of the time when you go out to our projects and job sites, you will see my husband on the site, right? But if he's not there, you will see me there. But it's rare you see me come out on the job site, right? But if I need to come out a job site, it's because of a certain dynamic that other people may not understand. But it wasn't until he realized this, he was like, well, wait a minute, because he noticed the different things. He said, maybe you should go for this company. He said, because I ain't been having no kind of luck trying to get us in there. Go in there. And at this time, my mama remembered, because she was actually here visiting for a little while. We set up the meeting again. And we went in there, and I took my mom with us, and they fell in love with us, like right on the spot, signed us up. Okay, yeah, send us y'all certificate of insurance, all this stuff, your W-9 for your company, and we started getting projects, right? There are some people that like to see the diversity, because sometimes that's just what is required, right? Not saying one is better than the other, but sometimes that's just the way it works, So, for those who like to downplay the women and their strengths, you might want to reconsider some of those things that you're doing and see how much of a benefit they could actually be to your overall organization. Shucks, YAHUAH thought they were pertinent for the family, right? Because you need a mother and a father to raise a healthy family. Not saying that it can't be done with one if somebody's missing or whatever, but you'll find ways to fill in the gaps, right? To meet the need for different things. But there are some strengths that only women can bring, and there are some strengths that only men can bring, but them together, working together, makes a perfect balance, and that's what you call power couples, right? And there are some things like where we get, when companies, they see us together and we come in, it's like right on the spot, oh, we like y'all because the way we work together, is like, oh, we want them, so just think about those kind of things, y'all. If y'all in those type of places, and you see it in churches as well. We talked about it before, where it lacks women, or I say it like this, where you can't sense the spirit of Yah in a place, or some people call it the Holy Spirit. If you can't sense the spirit of Yah in a place, I can almost 100% guarantee you it's a place that's it's stifling the women. Not that the women should be all over the place, but it's a place where probably women are being lorded over, abused, or simply ignored in a lot of areas. And I found that to be true in a lot of places. So just, just something to think about. Okay. So we'll go back to this. This is something to kind of keep your eye on. All right. The renewed, hold on. Okay. Let's correct this because it has Yahusha. It should be Yah. Just remember, Yah alone. The renewed covenant is receiving the spirit of Yahuwah, and he writes his covenant or Torah on our hearts, and we walk in the commandments obediently. Right. So that's what Yahuwah says, that his renewed covenant, his new covenant would be, he said, just like the covenant I gave to your ancestors, but this time I'm not going to give it to you on tablets of stone like I did to them. He said, this time I'm going to inscribe it on your hearts. It's going to be the same exact thing. And so you're going to love them, and you're going to be my people, and I'm going to be your God. So nothing has changed. He said, this time, instead of giving it to you on tablets in the book or whatever, I'm going to inscribe it on your heart, right? Meaning we're going to take it, and it's going to become a part of us, and we're going to live it and walk in it. Ain't nothing changed about that, right? So even if you think about what people said, the old covenant, Old Testament, whatever, it was impossible to walk in. Well, if that was the case, why did he say he was going to give us the same exact thing, right? But this time he's going to make sure it's imprinted on our hearts. How does it get there? Because we spend all this time in this last captivity searching for him, and we put it inside of us, and that's how it gets. As we read it and we turn back to it and we practice it, it literally indelibly gets imprinted on our hearts, right? Okay. And I'm sure he sprinkled a little bit of his super on top of our natural, right? Okay. The renewed covenant is receiving the spirit of Yahuwah, and he writes his covenant or Torah on our hearts, and we walk in the commandments obediently. We receive a love for his covenant, our wedding vows. Our mind of the flesh no longer controls us. He does because his word dwells in us. We don't receive him by eating bread. The bread we eat at Passover is to remember, right here, this is wrong. It says to remember his death. And no, that's wrong. We eat bread at the Passover. Hold on. We eat the unleavened bread at Passover. This should be unleavened bread, right? We eat unleavened bread at Passover. Why? He said, do this to remember what he did for our ancestors when he brought them out of Egypt. There wasn't enough time for the bread to rise. That's why we eat unleavened bread, okay? Okay, people need to stop looking at the finger and see the point. Okay, yesterday when it says a man was pointing to the moon, like this is the moon, but the fool gets stuck looking at the finger. This is the object. This is the topic of the discussion, but people get sidetracked. Remember, you tell people you worried about the wrong thing, like you looking at the finger, or the messenger, the person that bring you looking at the wrong thing. You worried about the wrong thing. This is not the message. This is. He's bringing the message. This is the message here, right? Okay. People need to stop looking at the finger and see the point. Millions are entranced and can't wake up from this bad dream. No one has explained it to them, and tradition blinds 1 billion people today. The Pope himself doesn't understand, but I pray he will learn and then teach everyone who is Catholic what they need to comprehend. Yahusha isn't a Catholic, and neither is Mary. It's still a huge mystery to most Protestants, too. Many have an indoor altar left over from the Catholic bloodless sacrifice of the Mass. Remember, hold on. That's not right. Right here, I'm going across this out where it says, remember, without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sin. That's one of the points where he said you worried about you looking at the finger and you missing the moon. You looking at the wrong thing. You would never said that blood sacrifice was required, which is why he went all the way to destroying the temple and the altars. And he said, stop killing the animals. He said, simply just repent, right? So that statement is not true. And this particular statement right here is what tripped up a lot of people. Even our people who come out of the church, they're still holding to the blood sacrifice of the Messiah. If they would just, even if they don't believe me, and if what they think I'm saying is heresy, all you have to do is just stop. Take everything that everybody has ever taught you, take it and just set it up here for a moment, and just go back and read through it, right? Ask Yahuwah to guide you along so you can see and begin to pull out everything, right? And you will see that Yahuwah has always said, I simply just want you to repent, right? Even Samuel was telling Saul, right? Obedience is better than sacrifice. Saul was like, well, we need to go ahead. We can't even wait for the priest to get it. We can go ahead and sacrifice this ourselves. Even Samuel showed up. He said, listen, what are you doing? Right? He said, it's better to be obedient than to sacrifice, right? King David said, oh, the blood of bulls and calves you did not desire, but a broken and contrite heart, a repentant heart is what you desire. That's Psalm chapter 51, right? Okay. So, but some people don't stay that long to learn about this, and they just ready to fight with you, and they want to hold on to the blood sacrifice. Okay, then go on your way. I won't argue with you. Throw out the altar, tear down the steeple, and start over again. Tell the congregation they are the temple if Yahuwah dwells in them. If he does not, they are not his. Not serene. The prophecy of the watchmen. There will be a day when watchmen cry out on the hills of Ephraim. This is from chapter 31, verse 6 of Jeremiah, and in the same chapter as the prophesied renewed covenant. The word watchman is not serene. We are the guardians of the word and the name, right? We keep Yahuwah's word. And all we do in his name, just like the prophets of old, Elijah, Jeremiah, Isaiah, all of them, right? Okay, the next section. The beast's deadly wound healed, another fulfillment. After Constantine's action of moving the head of the Roman Empire to Constantinople, the empire faded into what is called the Byzantine Empire. Rome was in ruins, wounded to death. By the 6th century CE, the bishop at Rome was regarded more highly than any other by reputation, simply because the name Rome was a profoundly stirring one. During the 7th century, the Bishop of Rome took on the Mithraic title Pope or Papa. The title Pontifex Maximus was also bestowed on him, the Kaiser's title. Caesar is also spelled Caesar, C-Z-A-R, and Kaiser, K-H-A-S-A-R. By the end of the 8th century, Rome was resurrected back to life in the leadership office of the Pope. And in the 800th year, this bishop crowned King Charlemagne the defender of the faith and announced the beginning of the Holy Roman Empire, or First Reich. This remained intact for 1,000 years. The pages of history record the evil fruit of death and destruction of this empire. The symbol of Kaiser's authority can be seen on the front of the U.S. coin, the dime, or a 10-cent piece. It's a bundle of reeds wrapped in red leather strapping called a fasces. I think that's right, fasces, from which we derive the term fasces. Kaiser's throne had this symbol under the armrest on the left and right. It symbolized complete unity and the power to control and punish all opponents to magistrates and Kaiser's universal authority. The head was wounded again in the 1500s during the time of the Reformation. The kings and princes of Europe turned away from the papacy's authority, and this was another deadly wound to the head of the beast. Ecumenism is an attempt to heal this wound by bringing all Protestants back into the fold under the Pope. The clergy, nobility, commoner chain was broken when the nobility or princes turned away from the teaching authority of the papacy. To heal this wound, the Societas IESU, or the Jesuit order, was instituted to restore authority to the papacy. This order works diligently toward this goal to this day. The planner's scheme to heal this wound is through ecumenism, bringing the whole world together under the World Council of Churches, the UN organization, the United Religions Initiative, URI. And here's their logo right here. Let's see if y'all can see that. Make sure that's not blurry. It looks blurry on Facebook, but it's clear on YouTube. I hope y'all can see that. Okay. Fascists salute their Caesar in Rome in 1938. Okay, I'm going to show you this picture. Y'all know who does that type of salute, right? Let's about to get into it. Let me see it. Okay. The men in the picture above include Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, and Hitler's inner circle of fascist henchmen. Who would Hitler himself salute with the old Roman soldiers' salute? These fascists march with a swastika cross inside a golden wreath modeled after the old Roman-style banners in their military parades. The word reach means realm, and the first reach was the Holy Roman Empire, as your dictionary will explain. This third reach was planned to last 1,000 years, like the first one. Satan was unleashing his final solution on the earth, establishing Catholicism with Hitler as the defender of the faith. Concordance. Concordance. Hold on. Oh, that's different from concordance. Okay. Concordats. CONCORDATS. Okay. Individual nations signed a concordat with the Vatican, a written arrangement which officially recognized only Catholicism as the national religion. All other religions were banned and severely persecuted by the power of the state which signed the concordat. Concordat means the state was in accord or agreement with the Vatican. To a citizen in such a Catholic nation, their ultimate authority was the Pope, then the leader of their nation, local civil authorities, teachers, and parents. The Pope wielded both temporal and spiritual authority over the citizens, which is the secret behind the hand sign of the two fingers you often see in religious art and lifted in the air by the Pope as he blesses his votaries. Germany and Italy had the concordant with the Vatican. This right here. So whenever you see that picture, remember, you see it in the picture with the white JC, the black JC, the Pope. They're doing this, right, with the halo around the head. This is letting you know I got the authority over all you regents, spiritually and naturally. And everybody kissing the Pope, fanging his feet. Y'all better get out of here. Not y'all, but y'all get what I'm saying. Okay, I'll read that again. Hold on. To a citizen in such a Catholic nation, their ultimate authority was the Pope, then the leader of their nation, local civil authorities, teachers, and parents. The Pope wielded both temporal and spiritual authority over the citizens, which is the secret behind the hand sign of the two fingers you often see in religious art and lifted in the air by the Pope as he blesses his votaries. Germany and Italy had a concordant with the Vatican. The U.S. Constitution stands in the way. Notice what it said. Germany and Italy had a concordant with the Vatican, right? Which America also has one. All of them, including Germany, all in cahoots together. Y'all thought Germany and Hitler and them weren't working together? They were. The U.S. Constitution stands in the way of ever having a concordant with the Vatican, since it safeguards complete freedom to practice one's religion. The state cannot restrict religious practice in any way under the U.S. Constitution. So they say, but they do it in another way. Listen, the Constitution controls the government, not the free citizens. At the end of World War II, thousands of Nazi fascists fled to Brazil, the world's densest concentration of Catholics. War criminals are still hiding there in their old age. The Pope visited this country in 1999. He was born in Poland, and his real name isn't John Paul II, but Karol Wojtyla. As a young Catholic man, he worked for a large chemical firm which manufactured the deadly gas which the Nazi fascists used to kill 6 million Jews, men, women, and children. Leaving the chemical firm, he became a Catholic priest and in a surprisingly short time became a cardinal. The hidden story of this man is well documented. Remember, the cardinals are the men that are in robes up there around the Pope, right? They're kind of like priests, but they're called cardinals. The hidden history of this man is well documented. He was in attendance at the signing of the Concordat with Germany as a prelate and has been much closer to the action than most ever get. If you would like to get more acquainted with just how close Hitler was to the Pope Pius the Sixth, I don't know, it's XI. It's another Roman numeral. Pope XI. Find the new book, Hitler's Pope, at a bookstore. I think that's 11. Because ain't 10X. So XI would be 11. Yeah, okay, so Pope Pius the 11th. I think that's 11. I just remember that. I think the X is 10, right? The X is 10. Because the V is 5. V, 11. Okay, I figured it out before Dana posted it. 11. Okay, I'm getting better, y'all. I ain't bring my chart up here. Okay, but I just remembered the X. Then I was like, wait a minute. So X1 would be, I got it. Okay, forgive me, y'all. Still learning. Okay, so here is, looks like a couple pictures put up here and maybe a snipping from a newspaper article. Okay. If you have the book, you can kind of look at it correctly. Okay. I mean, you can look at it closer so you can see it. And now I'll kind of read it, but just so you can see the pictures. Okay. All right, so I'm going to read what it has around the picture. Okay. Okay, so on the side of it, up here, it has Adolf and his Holy Father, then Pope Pius XI, and Hitler, the beast in action. Then it has the Roman beast. Okay, under the first picture, it has poster proclaiming Papist Nazi solidarity not widely seen outside of Germany. The second picture, the one in the middle, it says it's a religious thing you wouldn't understand. And of course, that's the one with the soldier having a gun to the head of the man who's holding a baby. And the picture under it doesn't have anything but the little newspaper clipping or definition that says reach. Territory or government of German Empire or Republic, specifically the first reach, the Holy Roman Empire, 9th century to 1806. The second reach, the German Empire, 1871 through 1919. I think that's Weimar, Weimar, it's a little blurry. The Weimar Republic, 1919 through 1933. And the third reach, 1933 to 1945. And it has German from Old High German, R-I-H-H-I, realm. Okay, I'll show the picture to you again. All right. And if you got the book, like I said, you can see it a little bit more closely. You can read it yourself. Okay. All right. The Crusades. Where we at? Okay, we have 54 minutes. All right. They were called Crusades because the rampaging murderers wore a large red cross on their chests. They were sent off by various popes to recapture the Holy Land from the infidels, killing, raping, looting, and burning libraries in their path. These 13 divine campaigns defy description. They flung the civilized world into the Dark Ages and made no small contribution to the spread of the Black Death. Sure, fleas and rats carried the plague, but 25% of the continent perished in part because the fleas were being carried by these travelers as well. Several organized secret societies were spawned within Catholicism during this time period, which you can independently research. Curia, the Society of Jesus, or the Jesuit order, founded by Ignatius de Loyola, Jesuit general, the Black Pope, the real power behind the Pope, Alumbrados, Opus Dei, Knights Templar, and Ecole Biblique. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 7 of them. Okay, because it looks like the Society of Jesus or Jesuit order. It looks like it's the same thing. Or maybe there's two different ones. If it's not, because it says the Society of Jesus, comma, or Jesuit order. So that may be two. I'm going to have to look it up. I didn't look it up. But I've commonly heard about the Jesuit order. So it could be the same thing, or they could be separate ones. If they're separate ones, then this is 8 and not 7. Okay. Jesuit Illuminati. Okay, the following was received by internet in CE 1986 from an anonymous source. The Jesuit Illuminati. In recent years, there have been hushed whispers about the secret society called the Illuminati and their conspiracy to control the world. Born Yehudi, he converted to Roman Catholicism and became a professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt in Bavaria. Ingolstadt. I may have said that wrong. It's spelled Ingolstadt in Bavaria. He became Jesuit priest and then formed his own secret organization after the Jesuits were suppressed in 1773. The Order of the Illuminati was founded May 1st, 1776 by Dr. Adam Weishaupt. That's German, I think. Weishaupt. He was 27 years old in 1776. The secret order began with 5 members, and each had a secret name. Weishaupt was Spartacus, and his chief assistant, Herr von Zwack, took the name Cato. Weishaupt hoped to attract the German Freemasons, but was unsuccessful. Finally, a few prominent citizens joined in Munich to receive the mysterious title Areopagite. Areopagite. Okay, and it's about to go over the 3 classes. In 1779, Weishaupt divided his secret organization into 3 classes: novice, Minerval, and illuminated Minerval. Minerva is the pagan name for the mother of the sun from the mystic hymns of Orpheus, the hymns which are the basis of the Gregorian chant. Each candidate had to swear an oath to secrecy plus unconditional obedience to Weishaupt. One feature of their society was a most unusual system of mutual espionage. Every member spied on every other member. When the novice was promoted to the Minerval stage, a solemn initiation ceremony was performed. In a dimly lit room, the identities of other members of the society were revealed to him, up to and including the Minerval grade, but not the upper grades. By the time he reached the grade of illuminated Minerval, he learned the ultimate aims of the order: the abolition of all governments, inheritance, private enterprise, patriotism, religion, the family unit, and the creation of a new world order. Right? So that's what I'll read that again. Their ultimate goal. So if you ever heard anything about the Freemasons, or if you've ever been a part of it, whatever grade you are, whatever class or whatever ranking you are, you only have as much information as, so say if you are on the 10th level, 10th grade, you only have knowledge of levels 1 through 10. The only up to your grade you're able to understand, not the higher grades, right? This is the same thing. So as you get higher, you actually learn the deeper details and more truth. So you probably have lower ranking Masons that really don't understand what the order is all about, which is why you see a lot of Christian people calling themselves Masons and joining the order. Like, you can't worship Yahweh. Well, granted, they're worshiping God, but I get what they're thinking, right? They're worshiping God, but they're also a Mason, right? But they look at it like a brotherhood, you know? It's one of those type of things, but they don't really know the true plans and the true origin of what this society is all about. Down here at the lower levels, and you make good friends, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever, and you think, oh, this is just going to get better. as I get higher. But you find out the intimate details of what this order is really about the higher you get in the ranking of the Freemasons or the different Jesuit orders and stuff. And some people, when they get to that point, it's like, yeah, I thought this was something else. Some of them back out. Some of them stay. Some of them keep progressing. Some choose, well, I'm going to just stay at this order because I can kind of navigate things from here. And this seems okay here, right? It's not too bad. Like, I ain't hurt nobody. I ain't got to do, I'm going to stay right here, right? Okay, listen. Let me go back and read this. One feature of their society was a most unusual system of mutual espionage. Every member spied on every other member. When the novice was promoted to the Minerval stage, a solemn initiation ceremony was performed. In a dimly lit room, the identities of other members of the society were revealed to him, up to and including the Minerval grade, but not the upper grades. By the time he reached the grade of Illuminated Minerval, he learned about the ultimate aims of the order. And here's what that is. Here are the ultimate aims or the true intentions of this particular secret society. The abolition of all governments, inheritance, private enterprise, patriotism, religion, the family unit, and the creation of a new world order. Right? Fascism had much the same objectives since the leader was the father and there was no room for any other allegiance. The United Nations is the NWO or the New World Order, right? So if you pay attention to a lot of stuff, they try more and more to get the NWO involved in a lot of world disputes and stuff. They're gradually shifting it from the individual governments to laying it all on the shoulders of the NWO or the United Nations, right? The United Nations is the New World Order. YAHUAH wrote to his chief assistant Cato, the most admirable thing of it all is that great Protestant and Reformed theologians who belong to our order really believe they see in it the true and genuine mind of the Christian religion. Oh man, what can you not be brought to believe? YAHUAH knew how to lure the unsuspecting and at one time wrote, "These people swell our numbers and fill our treasury. Get busy and make these people nibble at our bait, but don't tell them our secrets. They must be made to believe that the low degree that they have reached is the highest." YAHUAH gradually infiltrated the Freemasons. On July 16, 1782, at the Congress of Wilhelmsbad, an alliance between Illuminism and Freemasonry was finally sealed. On that day, the leading secret societies were infiltrated and to some degree united, numbering more than 3 million members. Eventually, the Bavarian government banned both the Illuminati and Freemasonry on March the 2nd, 1785. Okay, I'll make some of that in a minute, Pooh. Hold on.
You ate one.
It looks like they ate them up last night, baby.
Huh?
It looks like they ate them up after Dad cooked.
I still think so.
I'll make you some more in a minute. Hold on. Okay. YAHUAH was forced to leave the country. The Bavarian government heard 4 leading members of the Illuminati testify before a court of inquiry exposing the Luciferic nature of its aims. A vast array of documents were found in the Illuminati headquarters. The Bavarian government published them to warn all other countries of Europe. The name of the document was The Original Writings of the Order and the Sect of the Illuminati. Just in case you want to go look that up. It's called The Original Writings of the Order and the Sect, S-E-C-T, of the Illuminati. Lucifer is a Latin word based on Lucia, light, and means light bringer. The word Illuminati means holder of the light. By the time the document was published, 15 lodges of the Order of the Illuminati had been established in the 13 American colonies. There was a lodge in Virginia that was identified with Thomas Jefferson. In 1797, Professor John Robinson published proofs of a conspiracy in which he warned the world of Illuminati infiltration into Masonic lodges. There is a connection between the American Revolution and the Illuminati. And so we have the Illuminati Great Seal, which everybody knows, where you can find that on the back of the dollar bill. Right? You can find it. I wish I had my wallet down here. You can find it on a few of them. And I think it's on the back of a quarter too. Don't quote me. I should know that, right? I should know that for real. Tootie, go bring me your little wallet so I can look at your change.
It's gone.
Okay. All right. I wish I had it close to me. I would have grabbed mine all the way upstairs. All right. But anyway, if y'all got it, put it out and look at it. Find out which one, the coins and the dollar bills and stuff, the fiat currency, what it's on the back of, or where it's located on the fiat currency. All right. Dr. Adam Weishaupt, the Jesuit Illuminati founder, adopted the familiar all-seeing eye symbol when he first set up operations in Bavaria. The symbol is found on the back of the dollar US bill. The Roman numerals at the base refer to 1776, the date he founded the Illuminati, and it conveniently corresponds to the year of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. This eye symbolized a big brother and the mutual spying system of the domain. Oh yeah, so if you go back, what he said, at the lowest orders, they were all spying on each other. Okay, it's all making sense. Okay, hold on. It said, hold on. Yeah, one feature of their society was a most unusual system of mutual espionage. Every member spied on every other member. Okay, so that's at the lowest levels. So if y'all noticing this, like Big Brother, that's the lowest levels of this, y'all. And y'all right, they watching you. Your phone, if you can watch your phone can watch you. It's called screen screens, y'all. Screen screens. Not can you watch it, but it can also watch you. You ever had your phone take picture and start recording you? Yeah, it does. It's not just a glitch, y'all. Okay. This eye symbolized a big brother and the mutual spying system of the domain. The Latin words above and below the eye on the dollar bill in translation mean announcing the birth of a new world order. The all-seeing eye is seen in the meditation room at the United Nations building in New York City. The Great Seal was designed under the authority of Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, both Freemasons, and Benjamin Franklin, a member of another secret society, the Rosicrucians. Y'all ever heard of the Rosicrucians? Masons revere Nimrod, the Eye, as their founder. After Adam Weishaupt died, an Italian revolutionary leader became the director of the Illuminati, Giuseppe Mazzini, who held the position from 1834 to 1872. Mazzini gives the first letter to the acronym Mafia, M-A-F-I-A, Italian word, English meaning. Okay, so right here, and I'm going to read this. It has it right here, like Mafia. So I'm going to give it to you. All right. Okay, the Italian word, okay, so the M in the Italian word mafia is Mazzini, Autorizia, Ferti, Incendi, Aveliminati. Yeah, I probably screwed it up.
Why does Josh keep saying mafia and you keep saying mafia?
Okay, he was talking about the mafia on his game, but I'm reading from the book. Okay, so the English meaning, the M, Mazzini, is, of course, his last name Mazzini. Autoriza, in English, the English meaning is authorizes. Furti means thefts. Incendi means arsons. And aveliminati means poisoning. So Mazzini authorizes thefts, arsons, and poisonings. Mafia. Okay. The Mafia acronym developed in about 1859. And we're going to pause after we finish reading this section about this. Those are my chia seeds to put on top of my smoothie, Tootie. Leave them alone.
I try to make my coffee.
You making some coffee? No, you're not. You can make me some coffee. This Mafia acronym developed in about 1859. The organization was previously called Camorra since 1800 and was an Italian criminal society. This information is supplied in the 1945 Encyclopedia Americana. Shortly after Mazzini took control, an obscure intellectual joined a branch organization called the League of the Just. His name was Karl Heinrich Marx. Marx denounced the Messianic Judaism of his parents and embraced atheism, studied at the University of Bonn and Berlin, and wrote the book Das Kapital, Daskapital, laying the foundation of the communist movement set against private enterprise and property ownership. In 1848, Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, which was basically a rehash of the writings of Adam Weishaupt. At this time, Mazzini selected Albert Pike to head the Illuminati activities in the U.S. Pike was an admirer of the secret Hebrew cult of Kabbalah, or Kabbalism. Y'all get what I'm saying. But anybody, y'all know about Albert Pike, right? Okay, so everybody probably should know about Albert Pike. Even Jay-Z uses some of the writings and stuff that Albert and some of his sayings. Some people may not, if you're not familiar with Albert Pike, you may not readily recognize it when they use his stuff, but they do. Okay. Mazzini, in a letter dated January 22nd, 1870, wrote to Pike, "We must create a super rite, R-I-T-E, which will remain unknown, to which we will call those Masons of high degree whom we shall select. With regard to our brothers in Masonry, these men must be pledged to the strictest secrecy. Through this supreme rite, we will govern all Freemasonry, which will become the one international center, the more powerful because its direction will be unknown." This letter was published in the book Occult Theocracy by Lady Queensborough, pages 208 and 209. Supreme councils were formed in Charleston, South Carolina, in the United States, in Rome, and in Berlin. Known secretly as Palladism, Palladism. It is the cult of Satan in the inner shrines of a secret ritual to surpass all other secret rituals. On July 14, 1889, Pike issued this statement to the 23rd Supreme Councils of the world. "That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and the 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us, initiates of the higher degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not a god, would Adonai illuminate him? Yes, Lucifer is God." And so a lot of you people that think that some of these people, when they say God, they're not talking about Lucifer. If you sit back a little bit, you just do a little bit of research, it'll all lead you back to what we're reading right now. And this will show to you that when they say God, they mean Lucifer. In your churches, in your temples, and all these other things, who they're referring to is Lucifer. But only the higher degrees know that. The lower degrees are kept ignorant of this fact to keep them there fueling the fire so they can continue moving and building, right? We're just the stubble at the bottom below, right? keep feeding them this to keep them active within here. But we need the resources. We need the energy that they bring, so we can keep doing what we need to do at the top. Don't tell them what we're doing up here at the top. You feed them this. Now, I'm going to read this again. So, y'all got to pay very close attention, especially everybody that's fighting to keep hold of all of this stuff that they're calling me a heretic about and leading people astray. I'm telling y'all, y'all got to pay attention. Listen, I'll go back up. This letter was, hold on, let me go back up here. The way he wrote to Pike. Mazzini, in a letter dated January 22nd, 1870, wrote to Pike, Albert Pike, right? The great Satanist, the one who openly tells you he worships Lucifer, right? You can type in Albert Pike in Google, and you'll see all the stuff that come up about him. You'll probably even find this as well. Okay. Mazzini, in a letter dated January 22nd, 1870, wrote to Pike, we must create a super rite which will remain unknown, to which we will call those Masons of high degree whom we shall select. With regard to our brothers in Masonry, these men must be pledged to the strictest secrecy. Through this supreme rite, we will govern all Freemasonry, which will become the one international center, the more powerful because its direction will be unknown. This letter was published in the book Occult Theocracy by Lady Queensborough, pages 208 and 209. Supreme councils were formed in Charleston, South Carolina, in the United States, in Rome, and in Berlin. Known secretly as Palladism, it is the cult of Satan in the inner shrines of a secret ritual to surpass all other secret rituals. On July 14, 1889, Pike issued this statement to the 23rd Supreme Councils of the world, to the 23 Supreme Councils of the world. And here's what he said. That which we must say to the crowd is, he's pretty much said, this is what y'all need to say to the people. This is what you must say to the crowd, to the masses of people. Here's what you say. Say it just like this. We worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this. Like, this is what you say to them, but this is what we say to you. So you know, right? Listen. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us, initiates of the high degrees, maintained in purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not a god, would Adonai calumniate him? And it has in parentheses, would Adonai Yahusha calumniate him? Or it's saying, would Adonai was calumniate? If Lucifer were not a god, would Adonai Yahusha calumniate him? And it says, yes, Lucifer is God. Which we know he is not, right? But this is what he's saying in his letter to his people. General Albert Pike, 33rd degree, quoted from the Freemason, the Organ of English Freemasonry, January 19th, 1935. In 1871, hold on, baby.
Guess what?
What?
I can pick this before it tastes good.
Okay, very good. In 1871, Giuseppe Mazzini issued a remarkable letter in which he graphically outlines plans for 3 world wars. Where we at? Most people off today, so let me finish reading this, all right? Let me finish reading. If you got to go to work, go ahead and go to work on this day. But it's a holiday for everybody, so that's why I kept reading, right? Okay. But whatever. It's Memorial Day, so hoorah to all our fallen comrades, right? Okay. Until recently, this letter was on display in the British Museum Library in London. Pike aided in making this plan known in the U.S. It was a blueprint for 3 wars called the Mazzini-Pike Plan. Bella, close it. The Mazzini-Pike Plan. Its ultimate goal was eventual world domination. The letter outlined 3 relatively simple strategies. It called for communism, fascism, and the struggle and the struggle for the Mid-East to foment 3 global wars and at least 2 major revolutions, which we're in that third one now that they're trying to do with all the stuff that's going on over there in the Middle East today, right? So when we talk about prophecies, things that we see in the New Testament, remember all of this stuff is together, right? They are controlling all of this. So if it looked like prophecies are coming to pass with something that we read back here, and it lines up with all this rigmarole, you have to know that they are controlling this. So yes, indeed, it looks like prophecies are coming to pass, but they are controlling this because they wrote all of this, right? For complete world domination, like seriously, the New World Order, like all of this stuff, right?
Mom, I want some.
Go ahead and get some.
I cannot open it.
There you go, baby. Okay. Until recently, this letter was on display in the British Museum Library in London. Pike aided in making this plan known in the U.S. It was a blueprint for 3 wars called the Mazzini-Pike Plan. Bella! Just get some. You ain't got to do all that. You mixing it up like listen, all you got to do is get a spoon of it. You're not going to eat it like it's ice cream. She getting sea moss, y'all. It's only a little bit left, but she mixing up like she about to sit here and eat this whole thing. It's purple. I made a batch of purple sea moss, but I got cinnamon and lime in it and blueberries. She's so funny. Okay, the Mazzini-Pike Plan. Its ultimate goal was eventual world domination. The letter outlined 3 relatively simple strategies. It called for communism, fascism, and a struggle for the Middle East to foment 3 global wars and at least 2 major revolutions. World War I was to destroy the Tsarist government of Russia and replace it with militant atheism. World War II would begin by manipulating Great Britain and Germany to achieve a global war, which was done almost single-handedly by Adolf Hitler. Yes.
Mom, now Jay's coming over.
They might be back over a little bit later today. World War III. Tootie, wait a minute. We'll talk about this in a second. Hold on, I'm almost done. Sheesh. World War III of the Mazzini-Pike blueprint called for the firing up of the controversy between the Israeli and the Muslim world. They hoped that the Zionists and the Muslims would destroy one another and bring the rest of the world into a final conflict. The Great Battle would usher in a complete social, political, and economic chaos. To fill the void created by the Great Battle would come a world government headed by the Illuminati. In Illuminati doctrine, Lucifer is God and Satanism is heresy. Okay. We'll pause right here. Because it's starting another section. Although it's tying it in, we'll stop right here. Because it starts as this end of internet data. So we'll tie this back in tomorrow as we keep going. But we're going to pause right here. Because Tootie Baby making a bunch of noise. So I hope y'all got something out of this today. This was really enlightening. It's really enlightening for those of you that didn't know. It gave me a little bit more information on things I forgot about. But we're going to get into the Eastern Stars, the women Freemasons tomorrow as this picks back up, right? Okay. So if you got it, go ahead and read ahead if you want to. If you want to just wait for us, that's cool too. Give me that spoon.
What you got?
Okay. All right, y'all. So we read the last of the book of Nehemiah, 11, 12, and 13. Then we read Fossilized Customs. We start on page 117 all the way to page 124. Y'all, today it is the last day of the month of May. It is May the 31st, 2021, day 168 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, also known as the Old Testament. Of the 3-year consecutive day count, we are on day 837 without the Sabbath days or the feast day Sabbath days added into the count. Why? Because we rest on those days. Why? Because Yahuwah commanded us to rest one day out the week. We got 6 days. 6 days to do our work, 1 day to rest. Go ahead and sleep in and rest them hard-working bodies, right? Okay, y'all, so. And I said, I don't know tomorrow. I'll mention that tomorrow. I mention it tomorrow. So let's go ahead and do the blessing, y'all. If y'all got any questions, go ahead and type them out real quick. If not, after we do the blessing, we're going to get out of here. The blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is a Nazirite vow, and a man or woman can take it according to YAHUAH. And YAHUAH spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May YAHUAH bless us and keep us. May YAHUAH make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May YAHUAH lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Okay, hold on. All right, y'all. Okay, so I don't see any questions or anything. Thanks for hanging out with us today. To the baby gonna go ahead and end this. So I love y'all. See y'all back here bright and early.
Mom,
7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's Yona here.
No, Ayana's not here. All right, y'all. We out here.
Yes, it is.
Bruce. Go ahead and stop it.